From now until next Wednesday, Code Espresso gets you 30% off your entire order at gfuel.com. So whether or not you want to check out a new flavor, grab a restock, or just want to try it out for the first time, be sure to use Code Espresso for 30% off your order. Link in the description below. With Black Ops 4's next operation right around the corner, we're going to be getting a lot of stuff in terms of Black Ops Pass content. We've talked about that here and detailed it last week on the channel in depth, where we'll get new MP maps, and the big part here out of this is finally a new Zombies map as well, one that returns to the Aether storyline and is something that Zombies fans alike have been super excited for, highly anticipated. So naturally, our DLC 3, if you will, is a lot of zombie stuff. We've seen tons of teasers and even a trailer today which was released, and admittedly I'm not the biggest zombies guy in Black Ops 4, even though I was a huge fan and played a ton of it back through World at War and Black Ops 3. It's cool to see this trailer though showcase the culmination of the story through World at War, through Black Ops 3, and now continuing into Black Ops 4, where we are, and the Aether storyline, the return of Dr. Monty, the Shadow Man, and the rest that came along with it. But that's coming as of, again, the 9th in Operation 5, but what if I told you we might be on to something even bigger than that, zombies-wise? Something that takes zombies to the next level, and not just zombies that we see in the mode of zombies, but also elsewhere. Think Attack of the Undead, but for Black Ops 4. I'm of the assumption that right now we may be seeing something similar with Operation 5. Today we're going to put on our tinfoil hats and speculate a bit, so bear that in mind that we may be wrong, and that's totally cool, but with the information present, it may be a possibility. So tinfoil hats on, let's get to it. That said, of course, like we mentioned, DLC 3, if you will, again, for Operation 5 is going to be a lot of focus on zombies. But also coming along with that, as with every operation, there has to be something for MP and Blackout as well. It's not usually just one mode getting everything outside of that, though, of course, many will argue that Blackout gets way more attention than the other modes, but with each content update, there usually is at least one thing per each mode. So with that said, while there's a lot of hype talking about zombies now returning to the classic storyline, wouldn't it make sense to have something that may just capitalize on that hype a little bit further to get players to play MP and Blackout for that same right? To me, I think that Blackout is probably going to be the biggest target of this, and there's one thing in particular that is very much so a key indicator here for this, which we'll get to in just a second. But we end up seeing zombies on the map. We have since day one, even since the beta, but there's a curious part that may be coming up that we saw data mined as of yesterday, thanks to our good friend Josh, that has to deal with the emergency broadcast system. For those that don't know, if you end up heading over to the array compound in the standard Blackout map, it's not there for Alcatraz, but if you end up heading over to there in the standard map, you can end up doing a number of things at one console in the communications building. When you activate the beacon with the green light, you can end up doing 1, getting a calling card for it. It's a Dark Ops challenge if you haven't done it already. 2, it activates the Mason character mission if you have the t-shirt in your inventory. And 3, it activates an emergency broadcast which can be heard across the map. Now there are a ton of little radios hidden around the map, and the closest one to that is actually just to the right of it. It's on top of the other communications consoles as well, so you don't have to go far if you want to listen to it and just try it out in a private match, but this will end up sending a message to all those radios across the map. Then we've seen one in particular from the very beginning of it. Personally, I want to say that this is tied to the lore and backstory of Blackout, but realistically, it doesn't fit all that much. Some things do, but other things, the puzzle pieces just don't match all perfectly. So in that sense, it does, but also conflicts with some of the backstory ideas out there. But anyways, for those of you guys that haven't heard it, take a listen.
This is an emergency action notification on behalf of the Armed Forces Central Command. This station has interrupted its regular programming to participate in the emergency alert system. This is not a test. Repeating, this is not a test. There now follows a transmission on behalf of the Military Central Command. This is not a test. Initial reports are coming in of ongoing military operations in the local area. The situation is thought to be ongoing, and the assailants have yet to be identified. A counter-operation is underway. Civilians should stay in their homes until such time as an all clear has been broadcast. There now follows a broadcast on behalf of the Emergency Broadcast Network. Evacuation protocols are now in effect. Children, the elderly, and their designated carers should proceed to their appropriate evacuation.
Okay, I think you get the picture there, and to save you the 2 full minutes of that going on and talking about the same sort of stuff, that's the general gist of that emergency broadcast. Pretty much just saying that there's military operations going on in the area, and that's kind of just anybody that in the lore would have been around that area. Those people occupying the trailer homes, those people occupying estates, wherever it may be that you're at and you hear that message, but it would be something that would just be a standard emergency broadcast to kind of set the tone and the lore behind that, the world of Blackout. But curiously enough, enough, I always remember this one from the very beginning of the game, and I went back today just for some general B-roll footage of what you'll probably see on screen at some point here in the video, and I noticed that it's actually already been changed, believe it or not. Not quite fully to the thing that we'll talk about in a zombies teaser that we'll be discussing in just a second, but a transition in the audio file has already been in place for what was in place for a year and a half already. This one is much shorter and is in no way, shape, or form anywhere near the 2 minutes the first one was, even though we didn't preview the whole thing. It offers a lot less information, but it's a change no less. Take a listen.
This is an emergency action notification on behalf of the Armed Forces Central Command. This station has interrupted its regular programming to participate in the emergency alert system. This station will now discontinue its regular broadcast schedule. Stay tuned for information on your local area.
So, obviously there's been some sort of change, and for what reason we don't know, but it was the first time I've seen this changed out of the 7 or 8 months that emergency broadcast was live in the regular blackout map. Now, here's the most curious part of it all, though, and where we start to now look towards this larger event that may be happening. The one that was data mined yesterday has since been taken down, meaning that it's legit and it's coming, but we get a lot of interesting little audio quotes here out of this. Now, again, to save you what is actually a 4-minute audio transmission here of this, I'm not going to tell you the entire thing because a lot of it starts out exactly the same as that initial one, but then it goes into a secondary piece that is another 2 minutes or so outside of that original 2. But the most interesting parts here out of this are an unknown contagion seems to be spreading at an alarming rate. Initial signs of infection include fever, muscular spasms, clenching of the jaw, and severe pain in the extremities. The infected, in their delirium, attack those around them. Another says the CDC has released the following statement: if any of your family should die whilst in a shelter or curfew location, place them outside immediately. Another, military central command is under attack and will soon be overrun. Another stating the infected are breaching our defenses by sheer force of numbers. The final 2 saying those they kill will rise and join the ranks minutes later. It's as if we face an army of the dead. And finally, the dead are smacking against the doors. It's only a matter of time before they make me one of them. If you see movement outside your shelter, defend yourselves. Even if the infected appears to be a friend, a neighbor, a loved one, that person is already gone. There's no reasoning with them. All they do is kill, and those they kill continue the cycle. So what in the world? That is an absolutely massive bombshell that is hidden in the game files and will be hidden in plain view here with this emergency broadcast. And again, a couple of steps have already been made to transition into this. We see that there's already been a change for the first time in months with this emergency broadcast, so I'm really curious to see where this leads. If we're talking strictly blackout, there is a number of different things that I think could work. One that has actually been theorized and kind of put out there in the communal space of ideas for things that would be cool for quite some time is maybe an infected LTM. Something where it's ultimately a 1v99 infected game. Something that is that massive blackout map with redeploys for the infected, but also seeing how long you can stave off everything. That would be absolutely insane, and I think would be really cool. And if we end up seeing something that is the sort of an Attack of the Undead style event, it makes sense to see that actually happen. Another thing on the sense of maybe just a smaller change here at this that thematically goes a little bit more with it is we see the zombies locations overpopulated. We saw this once or twice, I believe, either right at launcher, like one of the first LTMs, or a sort of thing along with that one, where each of the zombies maps were active at a time and not just one of those at a time. Maybe that happens, or maybe it is something that is just a slight map alteration as well. But curiously enough, again, as cool as Blackout is with all the prospect of this kind of stuff and the change that is coming to that emergency broadcast, what makes this even more interesting is that we also see some stuff that may not pertain specifically just to Blackout. In the game files, there's a zombie astronaut character model, which, again, we have no real association as to where it could be denoted or placed into, but it's there. It easily could be a Blackout character. It could be a zombies character for the zombies mode, but without Moon in the equation. To me, that one doesn't really make sense. But it also could easily be an MP customization item. We saw leaked well before the release of Days of Summer the various pirate-themed and Days of Summer items that we've seen so far. The one that stood out to me the most was the Prophet Peg Leg Pirate that we now see in the shop. These are usually early renditions of the models, but often make their way into the game, and while the comparable timetable could indicate that this maybe comes later on in the operation, say a second split like a Days of Summer was, it also could be something that launches with the next operation. We don't know how far along in development that actually is, and that sort of legacy code of the build could be something that's well earlier than how far along it actually is. But if that's something for MP, maybe we like the pirate-themed Prophet outfit, we see a zombies uniform for those playing around. And a lot of people did say they wanted to see Jane and John Doe from Blackout in the playable sphere of MP as well, so maybe that's actually something that's finally happening. But all in all, there's a lot of things that are hidden in the game files right now, and a lot of things that may progress through this, and with a huge update coming for zombies, why not make everything else kind of the same way? Attack of the Undead, as far as I remember, had some really cool reception here, and a lot of people really did enjoy it with World War II, so who's to say that doesn't happen again and we get another sort of whimsical and fun out there thematic event coming along for not only just zombies, but also Blackout and MP as well. That said, that's where we're going to wrap it up here with all this. So I wanted to give you guys my thoughts here on this and talk a little bit about what may be coming, this secret big event Treyarch has planned for us. And if it does, I'm all for it. I think that would be really cool to see. And honestly, at this point, I do hope it does come. I want to know a little bit more about what's behind that emergency broadcast. I want to know why there's some cooler things like the zombies uniforms or character models in the game files. But regardless, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Is there anything in particular that you're hoping to see here out of this? Are you hoping to see a sort of Attack of the Undead V2 for Black Ops 4? Do you not necessarily want to see it go that direction? Whatever it may be, feel free to let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to drop a like down below. And of course, if you're new to the channel, make sure you guys subscribe so you don't miss a single thing regarding all things Black Ops 4, MP, Blackout, Zombies. We got you covered the best of updates, news, information, tips, tricks, all that good stuff. So if any of that interests you, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss a single thing. If you guys also want to follow me over on Twitter and Instagram, there's the best place to get connected outside of YouTube. Practically live on both those. If you guys want to start up a conversation, ask me a question, whatever it may be, that link is down there in the description below. But all that said, now, thank you guys all so much for watching. My name is Espresso. I'll see you guys later. Take care and peace.